Forget the figure of $440 billion. That is a number for the headlines, a number for the history books. But to understand the man, we must go back to a time when that number was a cold, hard zero. The year was 2008. While the world was reeling from a global financial collapse, Elon Musk was facing a private apocalypse. He wasn't just low on cash, he was bankrupt. Every cent he had earned from Zip2 and PayPal, nearly $180 million, had been poured into two impossible dreams: an electric car company called Tesla and a rocket company called SpaceX. Both were failing. At that moment, his wealth, his reputation, and his childhood dreams were exactly one rocket launch away from the abyss. If the fourth launch of the Falcon 1 failed, SpaceX would die. Tesla would follow. The world would remember him, not as a visionary, but as a foolish millionaire who threw his fortune into the fire. Many people look at his success today and ask, how can I get rich like him? But that is the wrong question. Wealth is a byproduct. The real question we must decode today is, why did he dare to bet his entire life on things that the rest of the world called impossible? To find the answer, we don't look at his bank account. We look at his first principles. This story began in South Africa, but it didn't start with money. It started with a profound sense of isolation. Young Elon was not a social butterfly. He was a boy who lived inside his head. While other children were playing sports on the grass, Elon was chasing algorithms through the pages of science fiction. He didn't see books as stories. He saw them as blueprints for a different reality. He was bullied. He was hospitalized after being thrown down a flight of stairs. But in that darkness, he didn't learn to fight with his fists. He learned to survive by building a world where he set the rules. He taught himself computer programming at age 10, not to be smart, but to create a way out. When he left South Africa at 17, it wasn't just about avoiding the army. It was an intellectual migration. He was a navigator, looking for a port where his ideas wouldn't be laughed at. He understood a truth very early on. If you want to change the future, you must first survive being misunderstood by the present. Today, we are not here to learn how to make money. Money is just paper. We are here to decode the first principles thinking, the core logic that transformed an outcast boy into the engineer who is currently redesigning the human experience. Musk's philosophy is simple yet terrifying. Break everything down to its fundamental truths. Most people think by analogy. They do things because that's how it's always been done. Musk looks at a rocket and doesn't see an expensive government project. He sees a collection of aluminum, titanium, and fuel. He asks, why is this so expensive? Why can't we land it and use it again? His companies are not separate businesses. They are parts of a single survival plan for humanity. PayPal was about fixing how we trade. Tesla is about fixing how we use energy. SpaceX is about fixing our single-planet vulnerability. And X? X is about the flow of information that drives it all. As we look at his journey, from the brink of bankruptcy in 2008 to the gates of Mars today, remember this. The secret isn't in the $440 billion. The secret is in the willingness to lose it all for a vision that matters. Elon Musk is not just building cars or rockets. He is proving that the future is something we can engineer. He is the navigator, and he is inviting us to stop looking at our feet and start looking at the stars. Today, we don't just learn English. We learn the language of the future. Are you ready to dream bigger? The quiet storm in the grass, the contrast. The 1970s in Pretoria, South Africa, were defined by a very specific kind of masculinity. It was a world of rugged landscapes, afternoon sun, and the thunderous sounds of rugby matches. For most boys, life was simple. You chased a ball, you proved your strength on the field, and you fit into the tribe. But among them was a boy who existed in a completely different dimension. While his peers were preoccupied with the physical world, Elon was obsessed with the invisible. While they chased a ball across the grass, Elon was chasing lines of code across the vast, flickering monitors of his imagination. To the outside world, he was just a quiet, perhaps odd child. But inside his mind, a revolution was already taking place. Books as blueprints, the intellectual shift. To Elon, a book was never just a collection of printed pages or a simple story to pass the time. In the library of his mind, every book was a vital component, a gear, a lever, or a circuit of a much larger, more complex machine. He didn't just read science fiction, he lived it. He didn't just study encyclopedias, he memorized them to understand the fundamental laws of the universe. He saw the world not as a finished product, but as a system that could be hacked, improved, and redesigned. This was where his first principles thinking began to take root. He realized that if you understood the smallest building blocks of reality, you could build anything, even a path to the stars. The gift of loneliness, reframing pain. The solitude he experienced in Pretoria is often described as a tragic part of his life. He was the outcast, the boy who didn't fit in. But if we look closer, we see that this loneliness was not a prison sentence. It was a period of intense preparation. In the silence of being alone, Elon developed a superpower. The ability to focus intensely on complex problems for hours on end. Without the distractions of a busy social life, he built an inner fortress of knowledge. He learned that being different was not a weakness, it was an evolutionary advantage. He wasn't waiting to be accepted by the world. He was waiting for the world to catch up to his vision. The Staircase, a lesson in power. One of the most famous and painful stories of his childhood is the day he was thrown down a flight of concrete stairs by a group of bullies. It was a moment of extreme physical vulnerability. He was beaten until he blacked out, leading to a week in the hospital and lifelong respiratory issues. In a traditional story, this is where the hero learns to fight back with his fists. But Elon Musk is not a traditional hero. He didn't respond by becoming a brawler. Instead, he channeled that pain into a cold, calculated ambition. He realized that physical power was temporary and limited, but the power of the mind, the power to create systems and set the rules of the game, was absolute. He didn't want to beat the bullies at their game. He wanted to build a completely new game where bullies were irrelevant. He began to envision a world governed by logic, innovation, and merit, rather than raw physical force. The Great Intellectual Migration, the 17-year-old's escape. By the time he reached the age of 17, South Africa had become too small for the scale of his ambitions. The government demanded he join the military, a system designed to enforce the status quo through discipline and weapons. For Elon, this was the ultimate constraint. Leaving his homeland was not merely an act of avoiding military service, it was something much more profound. It was an intellectual migration. He was like a bird born in a cage that finally realized it had wings. He knew that to find the soil where his crazy ideas could grow, he had to cross an ocean. He headed toward North America, not because it was easy, but because it was the frontier of the possible. He left behind the sun of Pretoria and the ghosts of the bullies on the stairs, carrying nothing but a suitcase and a mind filled with blueprints for the future. He wasn't just moving to a new country. He was moving toward his destiny as the man who would eventually challenge the limits of the Earth itself. Conclusion: the foundation of a legend. When we look at the rockets landing today, or the electric cars changing our cities, we must remember that they were born in the silence of a Pretoria bedroom. They were forged in the heat of a South African sun, and tempered by the cold isolation of a boy who refused to be ordinary. The crazy ideas that now define our era began as a survival mechanism for a lonely child. Elon Musk proved that if you can survive the staircase, and if you can master the code, you can eventually build a world where the only limit is the reach of your own imagination. The illusion of independence. When the average person looks at the portfolio of Elon Musk, they see a chaotic collection of logos. They see a software company called Zip2, a digital wallet called PayPal, an electric car manufacturer named Tesla, and a rocket company called SpaceX. On the surface, these appear to be independent ventures, scattered across different industries like islands in an ocean. But if you look closer, if you look through the lens of a systems architect, the illusion of independence vanishes. These are not separate businesses. They are the vital organs of a single, massive survival ecosystem. Musk did not build these companies to collect billions. He built them to solve a series of interconnected bottlenecks that were strangling the future of the human race. The first domino: Zip2 and the digital foundation. The journey began in the mid-90s with Zip2. At the time, it was a simple concept: putting business directories and maps online. To many, it was just a dot-com startup. But for Musk, Zip2 was the first domino. It was the proof of concept that digital software could reorganize physical reality. When Zip2 was sold, Musk didn't take the money to an island to retire. He took that capital and immediately gambled it on his next thesis: the flow of money. He realized that if he wanted to fund world-changing projects, he needed to disrupt the ancient, slow-moving banking system. This led to X.com, which eventually became PayPal. PayPal, funding the impossible. PayPal was the engine of capital. It changed how the world moved value across borders. When eBay bought PayPal in 2002, Musk walked away with $180 million. For 99% of the population, this would be the end game. It would be the moment to buy a yacht, a private jet, and live in total security. But here is where we encounter the paradox of risk. Instead of keeping a single cent for his own personal safety, Musk did something that professional investors called insane. He took the entire $180 million, every last drop of his personal fuel, and split it. He put $100 million into SpaceX, $70 million into Tesla, and $10 million into Solar City. He was so committed that he had to borrow money just to pay his own rent. He had zero safety net. He had burned the boats. The paradox of risk: holding versus fueling. Why would a sane man do this? To understand Musk, you must understand his relationship with wealth. Most people view money as a destination, a fortress to hide in, a way to stay safe. But Musk views money as fuel. Think about a rocket on a launch pad. If the rocket holds onto its fuel to stay safe, it will never leave the ground. It remains a heavy, useless piece of metal. It only gains the power to defy gravity when it burns that fuel. This is the paradox of risk. The people who hold their money the tightest usually have the least power to change reality by refusing to play it safe, by risking 100% of his capital. Musk gained the escape velocity needed to tackle the two greatest existential threats to humanity: the climate crisis and our dependence on a single planet. Tesla, solving the energy bottleneck. Tesla was never just about cool cars. It was about the transition to sustainable energy. Musk saw that as long as humanity was tethered to fossil fuels, we were living on borrowed time. Tesla was designed to prove that electric vehicles could be better, faster, and more desirable than gasoline cars. It was a spearhead meant to force the entire global auto industry to change direction. But Tesla needed a source of power that wasn't coal or gas. This is why Solar City, now Tesla Energy, was integrated. The ecosystem was coming together. The sun provides the energy, the batteries store it, and the cars use it. A closed-loop system for a clean planet. SpaceX, the ultimate insurance policy. But even a clean Earth is not 100% safe. Space is dangerous. Asteroids, supervolcanoes, or man-made disasters could end the human story in a heartbeat. This is the logic of SpaceX. SpaceX is the multi-planetary insurance policy. By drastically lowering the cost of reaching orbit through reusable rockets, Musk isn't just launching satellites. He is building a bridge to Mars. He is ensuring that if something goes wrong on Earth, the light of human consciousness doesn't go out. The ecosystem in motion. Do you see the connection now? PayPal provided the capital. Tesla provides the sustainable life support and energy technology. SpaceX provides the transportation. They are not 4 different businesses. They are 4 chapters of the same book. In Musk's world, every dollar earned from one venture is immediately recycled into the next. He is a man who lives in a state of permanent all-in. Conclusion: reframing your own fuel. As you learn English today, or as you pursue your own career, ask yourself, how do you view your resources? Are you building a fortress to hide in? Or are you gathering fuel for a journey? Most of us are taught to seek security. We're taught that the goal of life is to have enough, so we never have to worry again. But the story of the Musk ecosystem teaches us a different lesson. It teaches us that true power, the power to move the needle of history, comes from the courage to stay at zero. Money is not the goal. It is the oxygen for the fire of innovation. And as long as the fire is burning, the future is still within our reach. The edge of the abyss. Imagine for a moment that the world is celebrating. It is December 2008. Across the globe, families are gathering for Christmas, lights are twinkling, and there is a sense of peace. But for Elon Musk, there is no peace. He is standing on a razor's edge, looking down into a dark, silent abyss. At this exact moment, Musk is facing the total collapse of everything he has built over the last decade. This is not just a bad business year. This is the end of the road. His 2 main engines of innovation, SpaceX and Tesla, are both bleeding out. Tesla is days away from bankruptcy, unable to pay its employees. SpaceX is even worse. 3 times Musk has tried to launch his Falcon 1 rocket. 3 times the world has watched as millions of dollars and years of sweat turned into a ball of fire and fell back into the Pacific Ocean. The laughing crowd. The public narrative was brutal. The media was filled with Tesla death watches. Experts in the aerospace industry, men who had been Musk's heroes, were appearing on television saying that he was a charlatan, a dreamer, and a madman. They said that space was for governments, not for a .com guy with a big ego. In the eyes of the world, Musk was a failed gambler. He had taken $180 million from his PayPal success and wasted it on toys. He was being mocked in every boardroom from Detroit to Moscow. If you were in his shoes, with your fortune gone and your reputation in tatters, what would you do? Most people would have surrendered. Most would have taken the remaining scraps of their money and disappeared into a quiet life. The choice: ash versus stars. But here is where the legend of the Navigator truly begins. Musk did not look at the scorched earth beneath his feet. He did not focus on the ash of his failed launches. While the world was counting him out, he was looking up at the stars. He realized a fundamental truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Every explosion of the Falcon 1 was not a defeat. It was a data point. He had learned exactly what not to do. But he only had enough money left for one more try. Just one. He faced a choice that would define the rest of his life. He could split his remaining cash to save himself and live a comfortable life, or he could double down on the impossible. He chose the latter. He scraped together every last dollar, from his personal accounts, from friends, from anyone who still believed. And he placed it all on the fourth launch. The difference between madman and genius. This is the paradox of the final attempt. The difference between a madman and a genius is often just the result of the very last try. If the fourth rocket had exploded, Elon Musk would be a footnote in history, a cautionary tale about arrogance. But it didn't explode. On September 28, 2008, the Falcon 1 rose from the ground on Omelek Island. As it cleared the atmosphere and reached orbit, the silence in the SpaceX mission control was broken by a roar of joy that could be heard across the world. In that moment, the laws of the industry changed forever. A private company, built from nothing, had reached the stars. Because that rocket stayed up, NASA called with a $1.6 billion contract. Because that contract was signed, Musk was able to save Tesla just hours before Christmas Eve. The miracle of 2008 was not a matter of luck. It was a matter of unyielding persistence. The cargo of hope. When Falcon 1 reached orbit, it was technically carrying a dummy payload, a piece of metal. But in reality, it was carrying something much heavier. It was carrying the weight of a new era. It proved that the status quo could be broken. It proved that one person's vision, if backed by enough courage, could outrun the largest corporations and the most powerful governments. That launch didn't just save a company. It saved the dream of a multiplanetary future. It gave us the electric vehicles that are now cleaning our air, and the rockets that will eventually take us to Mars. The lesson for the Navigator. As you listen to this, ask yourself, what is your fourth launch? We all face moments where we feel like we are standing in the ashes of our own failures. We all have bullies telling us that our dreams are impossible. Elon Musk's 2008 proves that the only real failure is the decision to stop trying. Your ash is just the fertilizer for your future. Don't look at the ground. Look at the stars. Collect your last dollars of energy, your last bits of hope, and bet on yourself one more time. Because on the other side of that final attempt isn't just success. It's a version of yourself that you haven't even met yet. A version that can change the world. The noise versus the signal. In our modern world, we are drowning in noise. When you scroll through your feed and see news about X, formerly Twitter, or the latest update on Neuralink, it is easy to get lost in the controversy. We see political debates, billionaire feuds, and technical glitches. We see the drama of the day. But to understand Elon Musk's true intent, you must learn to separate the noise from the signal. If you look past the headlines, you will see that Musk is not playing a game of social media dominance or medical novelty. He is engaged in something much larger, something far more terrifying and vital. The race for human survival. We are currently living through the most significant transition in the history of life on Earth. For billions of years, evolution was biological, slow, steady, and limited by the speed of DNA. But now, we have given birth to a new kind of intelligence, silicon-based artificial intelligence. And the cold, hard truth is that biology is losing the race. The AI bottleneck. Musk's obsession with Neuralink is not about gadgets or mind control. It is about a fundamental problem in human physics. Bandwidth. Think about how you interact with your phone. You have a thought, but to communicate it, you have to use your thumbs to type on a glass screen. This is incredibly slow. It is like trying to empty an ocean through a straw. While humans are stuck with this low bandwidth communication, AI is communicating at the speed of light, processing billions of data points in a heartbeat. Musk realizes that as AI continues to grow exponentially, the gap between human intelligence and machine intelligence will become a canyon. If we do not close that gap, we will not just be less smart, we will be obsolete. We will be to AI what a house cat is to a human. A biological curiosity that is charming, but ultimately powerless to understand or influence the world. Neuralink, the evolutionary bridge. This is why Neuralink is the chapter 2 of humanity. Musk isn't just trying to make us smarter. He is trying to save us from irrelevance. Neuralink is designed to be the high-speed bridge between our biological brain and our digital extensions. By creating a high-bandwidth interface, Musk wants to achieve symbiosis with AI. If we can merge our creativity, our empathy, and our human consciousness with the raw processing power of silicon, we don't have to fear AI. We become a part of it. This is the ultimate insurance policy. In a future where AI surpasses biological intelligence, not evolving is not an option. It is a death sentence for our species. This isn't science fiction anymore. It is a deadline. Every day that AI gets faster and we stay the same, the window of opportunity closes a little more. X, the global nervous system. Many people ask, why buy a social media platform like X? If you see it as a town square, it's a business move. But if you see it as a global nervous system, it's a survival move. To train the collective intelligence of humanity, you need a place where information flows without friction. You need a real-time map of human thought, debate, and discovery. Musk views X as a tool to preserve the collective consciousness, a way to ensure that the data fed into future AI models is grounded in human truth, rather than manufactured narratives. If we're going to build a super intelligence, it must be an intelligence that understands us, reflects us, and ultimately is an extension of us. X is the training ground. Neuralink is the connection, the next chapter of life. We are standing at the edge of a great filter. Throughout history, many civilizations have collapsed because they couldn't adapt to new technology. But this time, the technology isn't a steam engine or a printing press. It is a new form of life. Musk's vision is to ensure that the light of consciousness does not go out, whether it is through becoming a multiplanetary species with SpaceX or an augmented species with Neuralink. The goal is the same: evolutionary continuity. We are the first species in history that has the power to direct its own evolution. We are no longer waiting for nature to change us. We are taking the tools of creation into our own hands. This is a heavy responsibility, and it is fraught with risk. But as Musk often says, the greatest risk of all is doing nothing. Conclusion: your place in the future. As you watch this, don't just see Elon Musk as a businessman. See him as an engineer of the next chapter. He is asking the world to wake up from its distraction and look at the horizon. The controversies will fade. The tweets will be forgotten. But the bridge we build today between our biological past and our digital future will determine if humanity survives the 21st century. Don't just be a spectator in this race. Use your mind, use your voice, and use your tools to stay relevant. Learn, adapt, and evolve, because the future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who are brave enough to merge with it. The race is on. Are you ready to evolve? The metric of meaning. As we reach the end of this journey, we must strip away the noise of the stock market, the chaos of the headlines, and the staggering numbers of the Forbes list. If you look at Elon Musk and only see a bank account, you are missing the most important part of the story. You are looking at the scoreboard instead of the game. The true story of Elon Musk is not a story about money. It is a story about a single, hauntingly beautiful question that every human being must eventually ask. Is the future worth looking forward to? For many, the answer in the 21st century has been no. We have been told that our best days are behind us. We have been told that the Earth is dying, that our resources are vanishing, and that our species is a plague. We have been taught to be cynical, to be afraid, and to lower our expectations. But Musk refuses to accept this funeral march for humanity. Every move he makes, every risk he takes, is an attempt to change that no into a resounding, defiant yes, the physical manifestation of hope. Think about the last time you saw a Tesla gliding silently down a city street. To most, it's just a luxury car, but in the grander narrative, that car is a physical proof of a concept. It is a signal that we don't have to choose between modern life and a healthy planet. It is an affirmation that the impossible problem of sustainable energy can, in fact, be solved with enough engineering and will. Now, look up. Every time a SpaceX rocket pierces the atmosphere, leaving a trail of white light across the night sky, it isn't just delivering a satellite. It is a message written in fire. It says that we are no longer bound by the gravity of our past. It says that the final frontier is not a wall, but a doorway. These are not just products. They are arguments for optimism. They are evidence that the world is not a broken machine that we must simply watch fail. It is a system that can be repaired, upgraded, and expanded beyond our wildest dreams. Language as a key to the future. This brings us to you, the learner, the viewer, the seeker. Why are you here? Why are you spending your time learning a new language, watching a video about a man on the other side of the planet? Don't just learn English to pass a test or to survive a basic conversation in a tourist shop. That is too small a goal for a mind as capable as yours. Instead, view English as a universal interface. It is the language of the architects of the future. It is the code used by the people who are currently designing the rockets, the AI, and the energy systems of tomorrow. By mastering this language, you are not just learning words. You are gaining a key. You are giving yourself the ability to step inside the minds of the people who are reshaping reality. You are enabling yourself to participate in the global conversation about where our species goes next. When you understand the Navigator, you become a navigator yourself. You move from being a passenger in history to being a co-author of the next chapter. The true legacy, the inner dream. What is the real legacy of Elon Musk? In 100 years, the cars he built will be in museums. The rockets he designed will be replaced by even faster ships. The money he accumulated will have long since been redistributed. None of that is permanent. His true legacy is far more powerful and far more subtle. It is the fact that he has reignited the fire of the great dream inside millions of people. He has reminded us that it is okay to be a visionary. He has shown us that crazy is just a word people use for ideas that are ahead of their time. He has broken the spell of the impossible. Before Musk, we thought reusable rockets were a fantasy. We thought electric cars were golf carts. We thought Mars was a dream for the distant future. Now it asks you, what are you building? What impossible problem are you ignoring? What fire are you waiting for someone else to start? The great dream isn't reserved for billionaires in Silicon Valley. It belongs to the boy in a small village, reading by a dim light. It belongs to the student in a crowded city, learning a new language. It belongs to anyone who looks at a problem and says, I can fix this. The world doesn't need more cynics. It doesn't need more people to tell us why things won't work. The world is starving for navigators. It is starving for people who believe that the future is worth the struggle. Final. Closing. Your turn. As the screen goes dark and you return to your daily life, take this feeling with you. Don't let it fade. The next time you see a streak of light in the sky, or a new piece of technology that feels like magic, remember that it started as a thought in a human mind, just like yours. The world is not finished. The future is not written. It is a vast, empty canvas waiting for your brushstroke. Elon Musk didn't just build companies. He built a bridge to a better version of us. Now it's your turn to cross it. Use your voice. Use your mind. Use your language. And most importantly, keep your eyes on the stars. Because the future is coming. And for the first time in a long time, it is a future worth waiting for.